My name is Avril. I work for Trend Micro. If you haven't joined us on the previous webinar, you may not have heard of Trend Micro before. Trend Micro is a global cybersecurity company. It's been around for over 33 years, and the owners are a Taiwanese couple. And I've been working in Trend Micro now for the last 20 years. And my role for the last 11 has been for the Internet Safety for Kids and Families program. Trend Micro are experts when it comes to cybersecurity. And we're very passionate about giving that expertise to our local communities where it matters most. And that's where the Internet Safety for Kids and Families program comes in. Everything we do as part of this program is free to our community. We work with kids. We've got a kids program. We work with teens, age action, parents and educators, the Gardaí, wherever we're needed, basically, we'll be there. And tonight, this webinar in particular is focused on gaming and social networks. So while the previous webinar was about a general kind of introduction to internet safety, tonight's one is more focused on gaming and social networks. So first of all, this webinar is recorded, and you cannot be seen. Your camera's turned off, your video's off, and the sound is off. But it is recorded, and the chat facility is there. And I've opened up the chat because it's been the feedback that I've had in the past is that it has been invaluable for parents to talk to each other during the webinar and to help each other out. And that's kind of what we're encouraging here, that, you know, we're representing every county here in Ireland tonight, but that when in your own community, you have your own community and a group of friends and your kids, parents, check in with them like we're doing tonight, ask each other questions, share with each other things, show how to do things online. That's what we need to do. It takes a village to raise a child. So first, and the Q&A, sorry, I meant to say that. The Q&A is there. If while I'm talking, you have a question, something pops into your head and you want to ask a question, put it into the Q&A. I will get to those questions. So the first hour is going to be dedicated to the presentation about gaming and social networks. And after that hour, I will then focus, I will stay, and I'm hoping Ray and Ella will stay with me too, signing, and we will answer all questions. So I won't hang up, we won't leave the webinar until we've answered all your questions tonight. That's it. So first hour, like I said, is gaming. So the first half will be on, I'm going to talk to you about Roblox, Fortnite and Call of Duty. And the second half, I'm going to talk to you about the social networks, which is TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat, just to give you a flavor what they're all about and the settings. How do you actually get into these settings and help them be safer for your kids when they're online? So that's it. The goal for this ultimately is that you don't know everything at the end of this, but you have a framework. And that's the framework that guides you when you need to tackle something. Your child wants a new app or a new whatever, never heard of it, you know what to do. And you know where to go to get more information. And you also know what the really important things are no matter what. So that's it. And we'll start with gaming. And I think, you know, first of all, gaming is a social network, which some people don't consider. They don't see it that way, but it is. It's a place to hang out. It's where kids hang out. They love it. They hang out with their friends. They play, they chat, they create, they hang out. And if you look at Cyber Safe Kids, they do an annual report every year on children's internet use in Ireland. 93% of kids between the ages of 8 and 12 own their own device, most likely a tablet. As they get towards the 12, 13, possibly the mobile phone. 84% of 8 to 12-year-olds use social networks. They have their own social account, and they're gaming. And bearing in mind the minimum age for the majority of social networks, all of them, is 13 as a minimum. So that's the reality. And what we need to do is we want to maximize the benefits, right, of gaming and social networks and minimize the risks. So if we look at, you know, what are the benefits, and there's quite a lot. If you're looking at the benefits of gaming, think about problem solving. When kids are online, there's a massive amount of problem solving, teamwork, troubleshooting, hand-to-eye coordination, turn taking. They're learning how to take turns. They're introduced to competitions maybe for the first time. They possibly introduced to new sports. They play a sport online and they love it so much they play it in the real world. It improves the relationship between the parent and the child because there's a reversal of roles in gaming. And suddenly, if you're an adopt me, for example, on Roblox, you're the child and your child is the parent looking after you. And you get to see your child in a completely different light. And you get to understand what they love about the games and why they're on it. And what else is there? There's this sense of freedom with gaming that kids love because it's a place where they can think and create, and they love that. And in a lot of apps, it's pretty much this idea of role playing that they love. They do stuff in gaming that they can't do in the real world, and they have such fun with that. So I think understanding why they're gaming is really helpful, because that gives us a comfort that, wow, they're really learning stuff here. It's pretty cool. And if you look at the world's leading surgeons, they are avid gamers too. I say that probably on most webinars. I think it's really kind of funny. But if you think about it, keyhole surgery, they're not looking at, they're actually looking at a screen. They need to know their left from their right and how to move around. They need to get that right. So gaming can really train them up excellently that way. It can inspire an interest in history and culture. So they can see things on a stream and they're, wow, I'm really interested in that. Look at what children have learned in the last 2 years, from who was the president of the US to what is a pandemic, what is Zoom. You know, there's so many things out there, cultures, history, and it gets kids interested even more, and they get to follow and research more online, which is wonderful. So there are all the good things about gaming. The list is endless. And unfortunately, I could say the same about the risks of gaming. The ones that really stand out the most are scams, malicious software, and hacking, especially on games. And kids can be very innocent and vulnerable on games, and they can be honest and give things away. And they gave that away, but they're still waiting to get their free whatever. So they can get caught out. Bad language, offensive language, highly inappropriate content. These are the things that we don't want our kids to be exposed to at all ages, whether they're 7 or 14, 15. You know, we want to protect that as well, and that everything is introduced to them in a managed way, and that, you know, the conversations are had with them as well about these things. Inappropriate contact from people they don't know, from strangers. People lie about who they are online. And, you know, so that's really important for us to be aware of as well. So what are the important things before I even share slides with you? The relationship with your child, the most important thing, followed by rules, agreeing rules with your child. Now, obviously, you won't agree rules with a 2-year-old, but as they get older, it has to be about the relationship, understanding what they want, what they need, and how that fits into their daily lives. And I'll explain that more. So I'm going to share my slides now. And hopefully I will disappear. Yes, Ray is spotlighted there. So, okay, so setting the rules. So when it comes to gaming, you have to decide what games. How do you know what games? Now, your kids may be on games already, obviously. I think they probably are. And the fact that you're here tonight, you want to know more about these games. Are they age appropriate? It's the first thing you kind of need to think about. You know, just like movies, there's an age rating on all games. So we need to consider, are they age appropriate, and what games are we going to allow them to be on? And PEGI is the European, the Pan-European Gaming Information kind of stamp, so to speak. And that'll tell you whether it's PG, U, 13, 12, 7, whatever the age is, it'll tell you. And it's a guide for parents to know as to, is it appropriate or not for my child, depending on their age, whether they're under 10 or over 10. Is the game therapeutic? Has there therapeutic benefits, or is it educational? What is the purpose of this? Is it just for fun? That's okay too. We all have, we all want a bit of fun. So what is the purpose of it? What are they getting from this? Why do they want to play it? And it's good to understand that. So when you're researching, your child comes home or they want to download some new app, and you have to go with them and research it. Guaranteed you're going to get one of these: Common Sense Media, CyberSafe Kids, they used to be called CyberSafe Ireland, or Webwise. You're going to get some really good information from their websites. So make sure that when you are researching, remember that they're reputable, credible sites with really good, excellent information and statistics and data as well, particularly the last two, for that. So what you're going to allow them on gaming, and what you're going to agree to with them, depending on their age. When can they game? I mean, they're not going to be gaming in school, but this idea of 24 hours, and the next webinar I'm going to do will be in April, and it's going to be about managing screen time. And it's an excellent one, and there's some really good stuff in there. So I hope you can join me for that. But it's important to talk to kids about, you need to sleep, eat, go to school, family time, you've got your hobbies, homework, all of that. Gaming has a part to play, or, more social or whatever, but, it has within the grand scheme of things. So, discussing that with your child as to when they can play it and how long they can play it for. So setting time limits, that's really important. Using screen time tools. And I'm going to show you those as well. And these are really, really useful. So while the relationship is the number one thing, and setting rules and agreeing rules together, what complements all of that are the tech tools. And I'm going to show you those. So this is really important, knowing where your child is, and we would strongly advise against having them in the bedroom, having them in an area where your line of vision, where you can see them, and it's quiet for you. They may have a headset on or maybe not. If they do wear a headset for gaming, every now and again, let them know that you will ask them to remove the headset, and let them chat with their friends, that you want to hear what they're saying, so that that they know, and there's going to be spot checks, just to keep the language appropriate and making sure that everything is above board, which it will be. And that it's safe for them. So always, in an area where you can keep your eye on them. And then with whom. So that's really important, who they play with. Like I said earlier, people lie about who they really are online, and kids can fall for that. So it's really important to have that conversation with them. Is the game social? Am I okay with that? Am I not ready for them yet to be talking to anybody? Just want them to play games, but not interact with anybody, not even their friends. That's okay too. It depends on their age. It depends on your level of comfort, and it depends on the child as well. That's your decision to make as the parent. So what games, when, how long, and where, and with whom. These are the rules that you set in place with them. Depending on their age, again, like I said earlier, 7 and up, that's when you start agreeing together those rules. So, Roblox. If you have any questions, please put them into the Q&A, or if you have anything you want to mention, please do so in the chat. What is Roblox? So these are all the names it was called, but it's now called Roblox. It was valued in 2021 at 38 billion, imagine, an annual revenue of $1 billion. 33 million active daily users, quite a popular game. $308 million with people who are using the game. That's how much is spent on the game in Q3 2020. So in 3 months in 2020, that's how much was spent around the world by people playing the game. The age rating is 7 in PEGI, which is really important to be mindful of. 50 million user designated games. These games are created by Roblox users. And the more popular they become, Roblox will pay you. So this is quite interesting, isn't it? Roblox in 2020 paid $250 million to the top developers, the people that were developing the games that were most successful. So something interesting, kids can create their own games on Roblox, not just play other people's games. And if they're really into creation, this is something to allow them to explore. Unstructured play. Basically in Roblox, it allows kids to create their own worlds. and it's free to play, and it's available on every platform. They don't have to pay anything for it. Now, free is, I'll talk about that again. There is no such thing as free. So while it's free to download, you don't have to pay money to actually download it and use it. There is in-app purchases. So for example, if you wanted to buy a new skin or a new hair look or a new costume, it would cost money. €5 will get you 400 Robux. You can get quite a lot for 400 Robux. There's a lot of pop-ups in there, and they could be scams as well, something to be mindful of. But I'll show you a little bit more shortly. Streaks, kids are rewarded for logging in daily, so it brings them back every day. You know, Roblox wants them enjoying themselves, having fun, learning, creating. But there's streaks in there. Every time you go back, you're rewarded. And after so many streaks, you get a gift, a virtual gift of some kind. Group messaging and private messaging is an option, but to bear in mind that if you're under 12, and I would strongly recommend to make sure your kids, when they're registered on Roblox on the app, that the year is accurate. So that they are 10 or that they are 11, because Roblox filters out the messages. So for example, if anybody tried to send an inappropriate word or anything inappropriate in chat, it's filtered. Hashtag appears, it won't appear. Over 12, over 13, slightly more advanced, but still filtered. And that's good to know. So this is just basically what is Roblox. And I'm just going to show you within Roblox what it looks like. So this is just a screenshot of some of the home screen. And these are all the games in Roblox. These are just a few games, right? But you'll see kind of like in Netflix or Amazon Prime or one of them, you get to the top, the popular ones. So you can see here, Bloxburg is quite popular. You can see here avatars for you. Yes, you have to pay money. So this is the lure. So while it's not free, it is free to download the app and use it. There's in-app purchases, so you have to buy things. So that's where Robux comes in, and you have to buy Robux. Role playing. So this is what I mentioned earlier. Kids love role playing. This is a very popular one. Adopt Me. Brookhaven seems to be a lot more popular than Bloxburg. And you can see here there's 111,000 people playing Adopt Me, 326,000 people playing Brookhaven. That's a real good sign that it's a safe game. That many people playing it. You can imagine all the amount of people all over the world developing games. Some of them can be fraudulent. The ones that are the most popular are the ones that would be recommended to go with and to stick with. If you click these three dots here, this is the settings, right? So how do I set up the settings? I want my child, we've agreed, set up the rules. I want them to have Roblox. You hit those three dots and you get this. You go to settings, you click that, and you'll see here the account information and the account settings. So within that, hit security. You can go through all of these. Take your time. I'm just going to show you a few. But if you hit security there, you then have two-step verification. Long word, sounds complicated, but it isn't. We all do it. You know your banking. So when you get into your banking account, you put in your code, but actually it also sends a code to your phone as a text message or an email, a code to your email, and you have to put that in. So it's like a double lock on your door, making sure that it's really you logging in and not someone who's just hacked into your account. So I would strongly recommend two-step verification for all games, everything, to be honest, so that nobody can get into your accounts and to your children's accounts. So you just hit two-step and you set that up. And there's a PIN as well. So this is really important so that it stops kids from going and changing the settings. Just don't tell them what the PIN code is. And account restrictions. So, you know, that's something as well that you can enable. And it's something that is really important to protect your child as well on the device. And again, like I said, just play around with it. But even in settings, if you go into privacy and you look at contact settings. So, okay, I'm going to hit this now and see, you know, who can my kids talk to? Maybe I don't want them to talk to anyone. So you can decide that with them, ideally with them. And you tell them why. They're too young, you know, for the moment, just get used to the game. And we'll see as, you know, we'll take it step by step. Or maybe that they're that bit older and you're happy. But maybe you just want friends to message them, friends in school, and just maybe cousins and relatives or neighbors and just friends. So you decide that. Maybe no one can chat with you. And then there's other settings as well. Who can invite me to private servers? It's all there for you to just go through step by step. So Roblox, in a nutshell, discuss together the toxicity. Everyone has a bad day gaming, bad days where they're really bad. And, it's important to talk about that. It's called toxicity. Children need to know how to mute, how to report, and how to block players. Sometimes it can be their own friends that are having a bad day. Kids just need to learn to walk away and not get involved. Discuss who they can play with. Again, why? Why is it important not to accept friends from people you don't know? And scams, these scams. And what I've done is I've put together at the end of the games a super checklist of no matter what the game is, these are the things that you need to look out for. But that's the Roblox in a nutshell. And they love playing these games. My daughter at the weekend said I have 2 kids, they're 11 and 15. And she said that in Bloxburg, she loves playing Bloxburg. Now she doesn't allow the lights on in her house that she's built because it ups her electricity bill. She leaves the lights in her bedroom on here in my house all day long. But, so she's learning about the cost of electricity. She needs to shower regularly or there'll be flies swarming around her. She has to work. She can deliver pizza in Roblox, in one of the games in Roblox. And, she gets money for that then, she earns, and then she can pay her bills. So it's a great way for kids to learn these kind of things. So that's Roblox. Fortnite is the next one. What is Fortnite? So owned by Epic Games, born in 2017. Imagine in just under 4 or 5 years, 24 million players in a day. I got that. You can look at activeplayer.io. You can get statistics from everywhere. Internet Live Statistics is another great website, by the way, to see who's online right now in what. Age rating 12 for Fortnite. It's free to play. Again, bear in mind there's no such thing as free. 100 players at any one time, teams of 4, and the last team standing wins. So like I said earlier, collaboration, teamwork, troubleshooting and competing and getting to the end. And it lasts about 20 minutes. It can last from 3 minutes to 20 minutes, one game. In-app purchases. So just like with Roblox, it was Robux. Within Fortnite, it's V-Bucks. So 10 euros will get you about 1,000 V-Bucks. You can buy bundles, battle passes, skins, avatars, all that kind of stuff. A game can last a few minutes, like I said, up to 20. There are chat features, voice and text, which you can turn off if you want. And animated violence, so there's no bloody features, it's quite cartoonish. The language of others can be offensive, however, but there are things you can do in the settings to manage that. Resources can be earned. So there are structures, weapons, things like that as you're playing the game that you can earn. And it's available across every platform you can think of, every device, everywhere. You can now actually connect your gaming console to a tablet via Bluetooth, so anything's possible these days. So that's Fortnite in a nutshell. This is just an example of where would you go in Fortnite to set up the settings. So the 3 lines or 3 dots or a cog on a wheel is usually what the settings looks like. And, you want to go in there and say you want to report someone, you can just click player and put in why and report it. Or you might decide you want to report a bug. They have bounty hunters, bug hunters. So if you report a bug that's really good, they'll pay you for the bug and thank you for it because they want the best games and they don't want bugs. Privacy. It defaults Fortnite to public. So you have to go in and put it onto private in order for that to be a closed private environment. And kids in a class, for example, in a classroom, they can all play together in their private game. They all meet up, they discuss what time they go on it, and they go on to the one game together and they play. And this is a great way, like I said earlier, for kids to hang out, to play, to have fun and to be creative. And parental controls, not that any kid likes that word. You will start to see this word changing to family settings and digital well-being across all apps going forward. And these are all the things that you can do. You can filter mature language, auto decline friend requests, you can turn that on off. Voice chat, text chat, you can turn it on, off, text chat. These are all the things that you can go through, but I would strongly advise that you do it with your child, with your young person, and discuss it with them. And start slowly. And sometimes you're not as ready as they are, and it just takes time. It's social. There's a sense of achievement, especially if kids aren't so athletic and involved in the GAA, for example. You know, this is a great way for them to have that sense of achievement. High-level gaming skills not required, and it's well known. Great dance moves is quite popular. So that's Fortnite. At the end of this last one, I'm just going to show you the key things that you need to look out for, no matter what game. But with any game, these are the things you're kind of looking for. Call of Duty. Okay, so it was founded in 2003. 18 main titles. This is Modern Warfare, for example. There's 100 monthly active users. $3 billion worth of product, imagine, sold in 2020. This is a $1 billion industry. It's 18s, that's the age rating. And it's 18 for a reason, and we really need to pay attention to this. There's violent scenes in this that you do not want young people to see. Just kind of like when your child wants to go see a film in the cinema that's over 18s, it's the same thing. You wouldn't. So it's something to bear in mind. Game can last from 10 minutes, Warzone games up to 30. Again, they're timed, which is good for managing screen time. Timed games are highly recommended, but they're few and far between these days, because obviously games want kids to stay in the games for as long as they can. Chat features, voice and text. Strong language and violence. Yes, that exists. This is an 18s game. Player must kill enemy, work towards an objective to win. That's pretty much what it is. It's fast-paced, easy to play. The currency in it is called COD, and I guess these are just some visuals on what it looks like to get into settings. So looking at this screen, if you see down the bottom, there's called options with the red circle around it. If you click that, you will go in and then go into general. You'll see here, you can enable or turn off dismemberment and gore effects. You can disable text chat. You can disable profanity filters. So this again comes down to the conversation, to the age of your child, or young person. So maybe they're 15, 16, but they're massive gamers and they really want this. And you've had a discussion, there's a trust built up. They are responsible young people, and you want to go through this with them together. I hope that what you could see from this is, no matter what the game, there's settings there that you can use for young people to help them have fun and enjoy themselves in a safe environment. So Call of Duty is fast-paced, gets the adrenaline going. A lot of young people may regulate, it's how they regulate, relax and chill out. They get to play with their own friends and hang out with them, and they work together on a mission. It can be rewarding. So the more you play, the more you level up, the more you unlock, and so on. And that's a sense of achievement that goes with that. It's easy to pick up, mostly running around. So these are things as well. So that's kind of general in a nutshell about Call of Duty. And like I said at the start, to summarize, talking to your child, whatever age they are, about being online is so important, about safety settings, about age, about making sure you check the reviews of an app before you download it, check the age rating, so many things. But talking to them is the most important, and setting rules together and playing with them. Like I said, you won't understand how much or what it's about until you get right in there with them. And the thing is, if they're coming across or experiencing something that they really want to talk to you about, they'll feel they can talk to you because you know what they're talking about. So there's so many reasons for you to get involved. And a lot of parents aren't really into gaming, and you don't have to be major into it, but showing an interest and setting up an account and getting right in there and showing them and letting them tell you about their achievements, what they've done, what they've created. There's a lot of good stuff in there. And the last two things that complement is research and settings. So researching, like I said, what game do they want? Why? What are, all these things that you need to look at, and then setting up the safety settings together with them. so they understand why you need to do it. And just to summarize on the gaming, what you need to pay attention to is privacy and security, no matter what the game is. And how you protect your young person on gaming apps is the settings. So the age rating, what is the age? Peggy is the age rating. Do you want the chat and audio on, or do you not? You can turn it off in settings. You can filter graphic content. And there's apps as well. So for example, Xbox Family Safety is an app you can download onto your device. And if your child wants more time, they can message, they can request more time on whatever device they're on, and you get it to your phone. So definitely worth looking into. And again, we'll be looking at screen time on the 11th of April, same time, same Zoom number. But remember that, and the same for PlayStation. So they're two good apps to have that you can have on your device. But again, it comes back to the conversation with your child. Strong passwords, never share them, change them often. They have to be long, at least 13 digits long. And two-factor authentication on all games and all social networks. Access to microphone, camera, location, and contact list. This is really important. There are a lot of games that don't need these. Some games, yes, like Pokemon, that needed the location in order to play Pokemon. But not all games require the camera. Not all games require access to your contact list on your device. So think about this when you download an app. Do they really want this? Is this even needed? And security software. Security software will stop the pop-ups, will prevent, even if there is something malicious in a game, if a child clicks on it, good solid security software will stop that link from being opened and anything malicious being downloaded. Know the real costs. That's the other thing to pay attention to. Free apps, there is no such thing as free, and we need to talk to kids about this. There are in-app purchases, so actually you're paying for stuff all the time. So marketed as free, but it's not. And there's virtual currencies like V-Bucks, Robux, COD, whatever it is, whatever the game. Purchase only from authorized sellers. That means that no matter where you are and you get these pop-ups saying, oh, you can get these V-Bucks or, on special discount, they're not to be bought anywhere except in-game, authorized in-game sellers. And you could consider gift cards. So when my kids are on PlayStation, I have go into the settings on the massive TV, and you go into family settings and you can set up under the family account a wallet, and they get a certain amount in the month. It doesn't happen very often, but sometimes birthdays. They've been super brilliant at whatever sport they do. They might get that or earn it as a reward if they want it. So gift cards are another thing. Instead of saving your credit card anywhere, which we'd never recommend for especially to turn off in-app purchases, make sure they're off. But gift cards are great, or again, like the wallet idea as well. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share here, and I'm conscious we do have a lot of questions, but please bear in mind that I will answer those questions at the end. I just want to get through the gaming and the social at the start for the first until the hour is up, until past, and then what we'll do is we will open it up for all the questions. So any questions that come in, we will answer them. Okay, so just in relation to social, before I share my slides on social, this is quite, when your child wants social account, a social network, social media account, the first thing I would say to you is you're welcoming them to their public life. That's pretty much it. And I'm going to talk about Snapchat, TikTok, and Instagram, similarly like I showed you the last three. But before that, there's something really important that you need to do, and that's talk to your children, young people, before they get that mobile phone or before they download that app that you've agreed to with them, because you're talking to them, you've researched it, you both feel they're ready, and it's time, right? You're going to download that app. I'll show you that shortly. But before you do, we have to talk about privacy. Privacy is so important to talk to young people about. If you talk to them about privacy and ask them, do they care about it? No. We have to find really smart ways of the language that we use to explain what privacy really means. And there's two ways to protect our privacy online, right? One is don't go online, just don't be there. The other is to behave when we are online as if everything we do is public. That is the best safety setting you will ever have under your belt. Same applies to your kids. Assume it's all public. You cannot go wrong. So privacy is really important, and we need young people to consider that. And the second thing is that we want them to be informed. We want young people to be informed. So when they download that app, and this is an example, how much is it? Oh, it's free. It actually isn't free to download a social network. We don't pay money to download the social network, but there is a cost. The first thing you have to do before you use the app is you have to accept their terms and conditions. And those terms and conditions say that you own everything, absolutely everything. However, everything that you share, like, post, comment on, search for, you're allowing that network, that app, that organization to do whatever they want with it, whenever, wherever, forever. And that is something that young people really need to know about. And if you look in the detailed terms and conditions in a court of law, if they're required, they have to hand it over. So even if something is deleted, there is still a trail, a digital trail. Avril posted this video on this date. And then she said these comments, and then there was a lot of comments back and forward. And then she deleted it and removed it on this date at this time. It's all there, like a digital footprint. And in a court of law, it can be handed over if demanded. And that's really important. So the true cost of an app, like a social network, is not the money you pay to download it, because you don't. We pay in different ways. The currency we pay in is our personal information. The apps are using that information to identify what you like and what you don't. They can pass it on to third parties and to other organizations. Apps are bought and sold all the time. And within those terms and conditions, you're allowing them to pass that information on so that you can be targeted with more appropriate ads. And it's ultimately for sales and advertising. And that's something we need to be aware of. And the third, and talk to young people about, the third thing is about photos and videos. There's a lot of information given away in a photo and in a video. And we need to be very conscious of that. And I'll go into that again when I share my slides. But when it comes to young people that don't really think about consequences of things that they're posting, it can expose them in dangerous ways. So this term sexting, sharing images of yourself, perhaps inappropriately dressed or half naked, just to a friend, one friend, that's it, just between two people. These kind of things can get out of hand, and it was innocent, but it can be passed around, or it can be shared with somebody who they don't even know, or worse, it can cause a lot of trouble for this young person, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and misery, and it can lead to bullying and all sorts of self-esteem issues, and self-confidence and so on. The list is endless. So to avoid that, we need to make sure kids understand the power of the camera and the importance of what you share online. There's a lot of information you're sharing. If a young person is online a lot and it's unsupervised and it's an unrestricted access all the time whenever they want, they are the most vulnerable when it comes to grooming and sexual coercion online. They can be targeted for financial reasons, for money. I want more of those photos. I want more of these videos. And I want you to get other siblings involved. And I know I want money. And if you don't give me money and more images, I'm going to share them with your family and your school. And then it becomes blackmail. And the reason I'm saying this is because none of us want this in our communities, we at all cost. But in order to avoid that, we need to be aware of it, and we need to educate ourselves and our kids. Depending on their age, you dilute it down or dial it up, depending. And have those open conversations with them. That if it happens to someone that they know, that they need to be encouraged as well to talk about it. There are a lot of options up there to get help. And there's the ISPCC, there's Childline, if they feel they can't talk to anyone they trust because it's so humiliating and shameful and they don't feel like they can, there are so many other options. So making sure it may not be your child involved, but your child may be aware of something happening. And it's just so important we get that message out there and avoid it at all costs happening by those photos not being taken and not being shared in the first place. So that's a bit heavy, but it needs to be said. And the last thing is about, maybe you're just about to buy a mobile phone, right? And you're going to download these apps that they're all excited about, and you've agreed to this and you've agreed to the rules and all of that. It's important to talk about its uses and benefits. You know, you've got the passive consumers, the social networks, consuming, passively scrolling all day long. That is not a good use of your time. But if you're interacting with it and you're sharing and you're commenting and you're engaging with something that you're really interested in, that's interactive. If you're creating, so you've got passive, interactive, you've got creation. So young people are always creating. Look at all the games I just showed you. Thinking, freedom to think, be able to be creative, building, designing, strategic thinking, it's all there. That's really creative. And the same with social, what's being done. So having that conversation with them, you know, everything from the friends you're going to have, what influencers are you going to follow? What impact can they have on you? Good influencers versus not so good influencers, you know? You know, we don't want kids comparing themselves and feeling like they don't have the perfect everything, clothes, house, whatever. You know, we want them, have the conversation with them that everything that they see online isn't so real. And there's a lot of people behind that supporting it a lot of the time, you know, and their value is greater than what they are and who they are online. Okay, so there's a lot of good stuff with social, raising awareness about good causes, learning about new things, and exploring and hanging out with friends again. Listen, during COVID, where would we be without it? So I'm going to just share my slides and just share with you the next 3 social games that I talked to you about. And Ella's going to take over there. Okay, so TikTok, probably the fastest growing thing I've ever seen. It's owned by a Chinese company, ByteDance. It used to be called Musical.ly. It's been going for ages. I mean, I had kids here in the office, young people, ask them, were they on Musical.ly, and they'd never heard of it. Now everyone knows TikTok, but that was years ago. 1 billion daily users, imagine, 1 billion. It's valued at 100 billion. What is TikTok? It's about creating, sharing, and watching short videos. And it's everything from dance and comedy to education. Everyone uses TikTok for their own desires, whatever they want. Follow hashtags, and you'll have your own recommended things, just like the Netflix account. It'll be recommended different. If you like certain things, then it'll show you more of those type and category of videos. So creating, and there's lots of fancy filters and so on. You can lip sync to the videos, which is very, very popular. And lots of challenges. Some challenges are very, very good, raising funds and so on. Some are very dangerous. So again, it's about having conversation with kids about what you choose to do online and following different challenges, you know. There's a shift from the passive consumption to actual creating. So like I said earlier, not just scrolling, you know, creating content. It's becoming very popular and young people are really engaging with this. Videos are 15 seconds to 3 minutes, fun filters, effects, there's all sorts of cool stuff going on. Minimum age is 13. Mature and explicit content, and this is important to say. And that's just a general of TikTok, what it is. And I would say that when you're downloading this account, you need to make sure, you don't have to, personally, I wouldn't put in the exact date of the person's birthday, but I'd put the year in, because TikTok, for example, will then have default settings, because if the young person is under 16, then they won't suggest the account to others. Your videos won't be able to be downloaded by anybody else and used and shared somewhere else. You know, so there's a good safety barrier, safety net there. If young people are putting in a fake age and they're over the 16, 17, or over the 17, then they're exposed to everything and they're treated like an adult. So that's why it's really important setting it up to make sure it's the right age. That's why I kind of like TikTok for what they do with that. In other apps, you have to do it yourself. And even if 16, 17, there's a slow release of safety, a little bit extra. And then a lot of parents have not heard of this. This is family pairing on TikTok. So digital well-being. So it's called family pairing. So say you're downloading the TikTok app for the first time and you say, right, listen, I'm worried about it. I just want to make sure you're safe. I know, I trust you. You're a very responsible young person. But let's just do the family pairing for a while until things settle in and you're happy to go off on your own. So family pairing, what is it? It's how basically you have your TikTok account on your device and they have theirs, and you pair them. And everything that they do, you can see on your device. So it's like a mirror image of their account. And it's a nice introduction to TikTok where they're getting TikTok, they're being responsible, you've agreed the rules, and you're getting comfort in knowing that they're safe and there's a level of monitoring that they've agreed to with you. You can set a limit on time, which is pretty cool. And it's just all about finding it in the settings, and I'll show you there a little bit more. You can exclude content that isn't suitable. So you can restrict content, and you can limit the messages that are sent to your family member. So this is an example of an account on TikTok. And you see at the top there, there's 3 lines. You hit that and you choose privacy. You can go into all of these. There's privacy, security, the whole lot down there, okay? But in privacy, with a private account, only users you approve can follow you. That's really important. So the whole world can't follow you, not the public. It's restricted. And you can go into comments down here and choose that. Who can comment on your stuff? Maybe nobody. Maybe you're not happy for anyone to comment to protect your young person. So choose no one, but you agree it together. And over time, you allow that with them as they get older. If you go into security and login, so the 2-step verification, I hope I've brainwashed you at this stage. Every account, gaming or social, should be 2-factor authentication, that double lock system to make sure it's really you logging in, because gamers are always targeted, especially young people, and the same as social accounts as well. And then digital well-being. This again is within the settings, within TikTok. You go into digital well-being, you can set the screen time management, how long, set a time, agree it with the young person. And you know, what is enough? And then there'll be a passcode if you need to override that. I have that with my own Instagram account. I get kicked out of it if I'm on it too long. I have to. I could be scrolling forever. Restricted mode. Again, this limits content that may not be appropriate. So if you find an appropriate video in restricted mode, you know, it says here, help us by improving it and reporting. So you can report it, similar to YouTube. But you can turn restricted mode on or off. So that was TikTok. And you'll probably start realizing that they're all starting to blend into one, aren't they, the settings? It's pretty much the same. You just find the cog in the wheel, the 3 dots or the 3 lines, and you just go in and explore with your child. Show them how to research. Show them what you're looking for. Tell them you're not too sure what you're looking for, but you're looking for reviews, you know, and you do it together. Great way to build up the relationship and learn from each other as well. So Instagram, okay, what is it? It was owned, it's US owned, $1 billion company, bought by Facebook. Estimated worth is 100 billion, 13, same as the others, is the age rating. Photo and video sharing social network. I mean, I think it's safe to say that Facebook is non-existent for young people. The only reason they may be on it is just to hang out with their elders. I consider myself an elder. And stories, there's stories that you can look at. There's a feed, there's messages, private messaging, and there's fun filters, and you can follow, you know, your favorite movie star, your favorite yoga person, your favorite gamer, your favorite whatever, celebrity or cook, whatever it is, or David Attenborough or National Geographic, whatever it is. you can follow them, and the latest news and stories comes out. So I know a lot of people as well would be following the latest on the current situation in the Ukraine. So that would be on Instagram. And people, I think that's why there's a lot of interest by young people in history and culture. They're getting to know what is the, and it's making them want to research more. So it's building up an interest in that as well. And it's how we communicate these days. Sharing moments. Young person this summer, any of us, you share, but you only share with your friends or a few, or you decide who you want to share them with. And it's a great way to stay in touch. There is inappropriate content and there is dangerous content. And this whole idea of, what I say about the quality of the relationship you have with your child is the most important thing. It's when the talking stops, the problems really start, and we want to avoid that at all costs. So sometimes you don't want to hear what they're going to tell you, but aren't you better off hearing it than not hearing it at all? The risk of users comparing themselves to others, comparative stuff. This is great conversation to have with young people. That sense of well-being and mental health. They have to be aware that a lot of the stuff is the ideal world. They're not the truthful reality of a person's life. And it's a really good conversation, an important one to have with young people. Okay, so these are just an example of what it looks like Instagram. This is my own account. And generally with my own Instagram account, I just keep it to my friends that I, over the years, just stay in touch with. So there are the settings. Up there are the 3 lines. And that pops up. Go into the settings and you want to look at privacy. You can go into security, as you can see here. There's loads of things. You can decide the ads that you're being targeted with, and it's fascinating stuff to get in there and have a look at it. Comments. You can decide, okay, I want to block comments from a certain person because, I'm getting very upsetting or annoying messages, or, I just don't want them anymore. And the person who's, it won't be visible to anybody, so any new comments from people you block won't be visible to anyone but them. So that's good. You can hide offensive comments. And then restricted accounts as well. So, you can protect yourself from unwanted interactions without having to block or unfollow someone, which is really good and it's quite discreet. And the last one is Snapchat, a US social network founded 10 years ago, way popular in the US before it hit Ireland. 100 billion again in value. Snapchat, quick, easy, free messaging. So like we text each other, and Snapchat is seems to be the quicker way to do things. It's like a snap chat snappy. And that's how to do it. So it could be a message, or it could be a video or a photo. And it disappears in 1 to 10 seconds, or you can have it on your story for like 24 hours and then it disappears. But it doesn't really disappear, like I said earlier. There's a digital footprint, there's a trail, and it's on servers of this organization, this app, on a server and possibly multiple backup servers. And it's important to have that conversation with kids. The age rating is 13. Again, it's pretty standard. Photo and video sharing social network, discover feature. I have to say the discover feature, there can be anything in there. And it's, I would say to you, it's really important, just like gaming, to play and get the games and get in there. It's important to download the app yourself if you're going to allow your child on it. And you'll see for yourself, there's no pairing on Snapchat. Not that I'm aware of, not yet anyway. But it's important to see what your child is about to be exposed to. So I would say if your child is going to have a Snapchat account, you need to have one. And one of the rules would be that you're friends with them on Snapchat. Now, obviously, they just won't share with you when they're chatting to friends. But, this is about the relationship again and nurturing that responsible young digital citizen that we spoke about in our previous webinar. There is offensive and inappropriate content. And there's a snap map feature, which I will show you, which a lot of parents aren't aware of, and young people too. So this is my account again. Don't have many friends, but the ones I do are always on Snapchat sending messages. So I don't have the notifications on, and I sometimes miss their entire lives. Right, so you see the cog on the wheel up here? That's the settings. And then you go in and you click it, and it's like, contact me, who can view my story, and you decide. So when you're talking to your child and you're setting this up, Well, only your friends. You don't want the whole world, contacting you and checking out your stuff. Ghost mode. So this is really important because of Snap Map. There's a map. So when you download Snapchat, location services, if it's switched on for the app, it means that anybody can see where you are at any time. And it can be down to the house in your housing estate, where you are, where your device is. And a lot of young people may not be aware of this. And in order to turn it off, you go into my location in settings and you put on ghost mode. And ghost mode means that when this is enabled, your friends can't see your location. Nobody can. And what's useful with it though, however, is, and I'll show you what it looks like. You see here me in Ireland down the bottom there, it's got a blue icon over my face. That's basically saying nobody knows where I am. That's telling me I'm in ghost mode. However, if your child, young person, was going off out to the cinema, to town, to a museum, to a disco, I don't know, where they're going to meet someone, to meet some of their friends, they can turn this on and allow mom or dad or their auntie or their guardian to keep an eye on them, basically. So they'll turn that on so that you can see where they are. And they might also want their friends at their meeting to see them. So that eliminates, where are you? How long more will you be? To see how long they're going to be by looking at where they are on the map. So you can restrict. So it can be very useful, especially if you lose them. We had an intern here before said he went to Greece for 2 weeks with his friends and they all had mopeds and he lost them all. But he said, luckily, because of Snapchat, he went on and he found them straight away and was able to track them down. So it's useful to have when used wisely. So two-factor authentication, have I brainwashed you yet? This is important. I'm surely brainwashed Ella and Ray at this stage. Really important. Not to let anyone hack into your account. Your password has to be very strong, long and strong, but you also need the two-factor in there as well and not share your passwords. You don't want your friends guessing your password and causing havoc in your account. That can get you into trouble. Okay, so I know this is the ideal world where you hope your kids will clean out the dishwasher and will do the dishes. This is a hopeful, inspirational image, right? Not so sure it happens. Although some kids are very good. Talking, the relationship is really important at all times. Using it, getting involved with them, download that app yourself, and then agree to rules and discuss it. And if they have a problem with the app or something's happening, they'll feel more able to talk to you about it because you're on it, because you know what it's about. And that's feedback we've had directly from students. Research together, get that into their brain. And can you trust that information? Fact check it. And settings, setting up the settings like I showed you. They all look the same at the end, don't they? So how do you protect yourself with social networks? In a summary, you agree rules together. The chances are they'll abide by the rules if they've agreed them with you up front. And they change over time as well. Think before you post. Remember that the best safety setting you can ever have is when you assume everything is public when you're posting. Best safety setting ever. Talk about the issues, its uses, sorry, not the issues. Talk about its uses on social networks. The passive consumption. I mean, we all are a bit brain dead. Sometimes we just need to scroll and just chill. But for how long? And how long is enough? And what's not good? How long is too much? And what's interactive? And how often are we creative? Because our time online has to be about what we do online, not how long we're online. Because it's such a great area now, isn't it? So blended with our lives. And only friend people that you know in the real world. So these are the conversations that you have with young people from a young age. Get in there young so it's in their brains. Respect others' privacy, ask for permission, use the camera wisely. So we have a wonderful episode called Camera Safety for 7 to 10-year-olds. Great video, great Kahoot quiz, great questions to have with your kids with answers there, and an activity sheet. There's a whole load in there. But one of the feedbacks that we got last week from a parent was, my child just did the camera safety episode in the Cyber Academy. She's 8. She didn't know you needed to ask permission before you took a photograph of someone else. So the things we assume sometimes. So using it wisely, assuming it's public, asking permission and respecting others. Use the settings. I went through them all just on 6 apps. We could be here all night talking about apps, but they all start to blend into one. Ghost mode on the Snapchat or location settings, use it wisely. It's there for a reason. If you use it wisely, it's really, really handy. Never share passwords, change them often. Know how to block and report. And this is important, especially for toxicity. If someone's being unkind to you on a social network, there are ways to handle that, reporting and blocking and talking, to someone you trust. And that's something that you just need to encourage. So that's the end of the slides. This is just our resources that are there for you. Our webpage is trendmicro.com internet safety. And all of our webinars here are additional webinars we've done over the last 2 years, but they're timeless pieces, and I'm always going back to them. Protecting your family on video chat apps, Zoom, WhatsApp, all of these different apps, Discord, there's so many of them. And there's top tip sheets as well. But these webinars, the Xbox one, my boss is Lynette, and she interviewed the online gaming safety team at Xbox. And they have that cool Microsoft Family Safety app, which you can have on your device to manage screen time with your kids when they're gaming. Social media and social causes, Raising Gamers, a really lovely one from an employee of ours in the US. And he's a gamer himself. He met his wife through gaming online, and he's raising a junior gamer. And selfie safety, again, this is about the camera, specifically on selfie safety. Maybe it's something you want to watch with a young person if they're teenagers, and really would recommend these. So on the other side, we have top tip sheets. So everything we're talking about tonight, it's in the tip sheet, and you can print it off. And it's in 10 different languages, from Chinese, Arabian, German, French, Polish, Italian. We have them all. And these 2 are there as well, one on gaming and one on social media. And it could be something you print off and use it just to talk to your young person about. If they're older, they may not be primary school, they may be older, but it's never too late to have these conversations. And this is the Cyber Academy. Again, it's all on the internet safety site at Trend Micro. And they're free, and they're freely available anytime you need them. Our next webinar is on April 11th, which is a Monday night at 7:30. The same webinar again, but this will be posted up on our events page shortly after tonight, during the next few days. It will have our Irish Sign Language interpreters as well. Hopefully Ray and Ella can join us again. And when you hang up from this webinar, you'll be directed to our website. So you'll be able to play around and have a look at everything on it. But please give us your feedback. I'd really appreciate your feedback. There's a lot of information there in the last hour on gaming and social networks, but I really do hope it provided you with a framework of what you need to approach anything when it comes to the online world and gaming and social. If you provide us with your email address, we only want your email address to put you into a raffle for security software, which is Trend Micro's expertise, antivirus software. So 5 people will win a 1-year antivirus software kit to protect 5 devices in your home. And we will delete your email after that. And you don't have to put your email address in if you don't want to. So when you're on the page, on the website, just have a look around. There's, like I said, all the resources and webinars are there. This recording will be on the events page for parents and teachers. And so is the Cyber Academy for kids 7 to 10. We're going to launch another one shortly, Time Online, which is, imagine a Cyber Academy episode for 7 to 10-year-olds, helping them manage their own time online. I can't wait to share it with you in April when we have our next webinar. And it's great conversation, great stuff. So this is where we open up for conversation. So for those of you who are about to hang up and leave me, thank you so much for joining, and we really appreciate your time. And for the next half hour, I'm going to stay here until I answered all questions. So any questions that are there, I'm going to go to those now. But thank you for those of you about to hang up for staying this long and for engaging with the episode. There's a lot in there. We could be here for hours, but we won't. So just going to stop the share. Because I was saying to Ray and Ella, like, death by PowerPoint is something nobody likes. So thank you very much for your information. And I'm just going to look now at the questions. And so Fidelma, Roblox, is it possible to have chat open only to friends? As it seems that chat on, anyone in game can talk to the child. You can restrict it. So you can go into, you have to, I can see, I'm actually seeing the settings in my brain. I nearly have to go into my phone. But if you go into Roblox, go into the settings, go into chat, and you can restrict it to friends only. So have a look at that, Fidelma. Sometimes if I'm not getting what I want in a setting, and I'm getting really annoyed, I actually put in, I go into a search engine and say, why can't I restrict chat to only friends on Roblox? But it is in there because I have it on my own daughter's one. So hopefully that'll work for you. Nicola, can Amazon Fire tablets be set up to Family Link? Oh, I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. That's a very detailed one now, and I don't have that information in my head. Family Link. So Family Link is the app that you can download in order to manage screen time, which is really excellent. You can, you know, obviously with conversation with your kids, show them how long they're on things. You can restrict access to certain things. You can restrict them downloading anything until they have to come to you to download something, a new app, and restrict time, whether that's how much time on app A, B, and C versus how much time in general during weekdays and weekends. So it's a great, Family Link is excellent. But Nicola is asking me about Amazon Fire tablets. I actually, do you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to search it and have a look at that one for you. But please feel free, if you have time, to just search that up for me and get back to me on this now if you get the answer, or if anyone else has. I'm sorry, I don't know that answer. So Nicola, if you're on the call still, please do have a search there and get back to me. The app for PlayStation is called PlayStation. So if you just go into the app on, it's someone anonymous, is what's the app. So just go into PlayStation on the app, download that, and then go to family settings in there. And then it looks like any of the settings I've shown you in the last, you know, games and social networks. And you can go in there and do that. And it's, oh, somebody here, somebody has already, thank you, Noji. They have replied already, PlayStation on Google Play and App Store. This is fantastic. I love when we're helping each other out, it's great. But yeah, it's just called PlayStation. Whereas the Xbox one is called Xbox Family Safety App. And you'll find that there. And I've heard a lot of parents, I don't have Xbox, I have the PlayStation, but a lot of parents really like the Xbox safety app, family safety app. I, on the PlayStation, go into the TV because they only play it on the TV. And I have these family safety settings locked down in there. So hopefully we've answered that, and thank you for helping out. Okay, so my son is a naive 12-year-old and has only started on Xbox in the past 12 months. We allow him to play online with his cousin, great, only, and the game is car racing game. Would Fortnite be a good game for him to explore? He would play wrestling game on his own as he likes wrestling. So Jacinta, what I would recommend is download it, play it with them, and explore it together. And maybe your cousin could also do it as part of it, and you could connect together in on it. But the first thing you do, you know yourself, download the app and go to the settings and set it all up. You might decide you want the audio off and the chat off, and that they just play with no sound and none of that. And that's okay. It's a good starting. And the beauty of it is that it's 3 minutes to 20 minutes, the game. So, you know, it doesn't last for hours and hours and hours. But it might be a great way. I'd recommend it. My daughter hangs out with a friend of hers that she rarely sees in physical person because they live far away, but they play together on Fortnite. And I know when she's playing with this person because I can hear her laughing so loud or screaming because they're leveling up and they're about to win or whatever, they're about to get killed. And she's so happy playing with her friend on Fortnite. The restrictions are there, the safety settings are there, and we have the conversations. Nothing is ever 100% foolproof, but that's why the relationship is always there and really important to have. So I would say try it together, and then get the cousin in as well if the cousin's family are okay with it as well. I think that might be a great way to, you know what, it's a great way to build a relationship with your child as well. They're like, oh my gosh, they don't know, but they want to explore it with me and research together. And, you know, it's a trust thing. It's nurturing that sense of responsibility. And the fact that you've been in there with them and you understand it, if there is anything, they're going to come to you if there's anything. That's what you want. So regarding Roblox, if a child is new to the game, how do they recognize their friends to chat with? So my daughter comes home with these names, usernames written on her arm. It could be the length of her arm, but they're special names. So your username can be cookie, unicorn, banana, anything, it can be anything. So that's how they know each other. They share each other's usernames in the classroom. Or if through COVID, many young people are, you know, they're on Skype, maybe Skype friends, and they can share that their username. And I would say to them always, they're only allowed to have friends that they know in the class, or that they're related to, or that they know in person anyway. And anybody else, just ignore their friend requests, report them, or let me know if anyone's trying to talk to you or engage you in some weird conversation. Come to me straight away. But if you have the settings locked down, only friends can play and see each other, and that's what you want. But still no harm for kids to come to you and that you have that conversation with them, because you never know. You never know. I hope that answered your question. That's how you recognize them. You learn. Okay. Okay, there's another one within this now. Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry, Ella, I'm a bit slow at reading. Feed content is ideal for reaching new audiences, raising brand awareness, and attracting new followers. On the other hand, stories are short-lived and disappear after 24 hours. Unlike the feed, stories offer many features to invite interaction, which makes them ideal for engaging users. Okay. If I read the question now, all of that would have made sense. The question was, what's the difference between stories, feed, and messages on Instagram? Oh my gosh, I'm really sorry. I was reading Noji, thank you. You answered the question, and I was reading out your answer, trying to figure out what is this question. So that's the answer to the question. What's the difference between stories, feed, and messages? The stories are more real and happened today in the last 24 hours. So when you see a story, you know it happened recently. So it's the best way to kind of see who's active, what's happening. Thank you, Noji. That's fantastic. And so let me see. I'll try and read the question this time, right? Why is a photo sent with Snapchat? Even if you have Snapchat, how can you monitor your child's use if messages disappear? This is the challenge with Snapchat. I've done a talk in a school pre-COVID. I do it a lot, lots of schools. Now we have the online cyber academy. We're able to reach so much more kids globally in loads of languages. Actually, even in Polish, we have it in Polish, Cyber Academy. I've had feedback from a parent who said that their daughter has been onto them wanting Snapchat for so long. And after the talk with them that I had, which is, you know, you open up the bonnet and you look into Snapchat and you talk to them all about all the things that are going on, from Snap Map to you know, the Discover stuff, the stories, the settings, all the stuff you need to be aware of, and the terms and conditions and your privacy. And she said to me that she came home after the session and she decided she wasn't ready for Snapchat yet. I'm not saying every kid's going to be like this. Absolutely not. But I do think there is power and value in conversation and talking to them about what's free. What does privacy really mean? And what are you giving away to use something free? And, when you share something, welcome to your public life. It is there forever. And, I would say maybe have that conversation with them. You're right, Yvonne. When it's shared, it does disappear. You can save it. People can take screenshots of it. Normally you're told if someone takes a screenshot of your photo, you will be told that someone took a screenshot of your photo. But even Snapchat themselves say, depends on the device. If it's a really old one, clunky one, it mightn't actually communicate to your device that they took a screenshot. Or there's hacks where kids can turn off their Wi-Fi, take a screenshot, and then turn it back on again. It doesn't disappear. So there's hacks around these things. So again, back to the assume that everything you post is public. Assume it's public forever. Like I generally say to my kids, assume that the principal of your school is going to see this. Just assume it. Assume your grandparents are going to see it because it could get to them eventually. It could get that big. Because kids, they do things innocently. They don't think. Their prefrontal cortex doesn't develop fully until they're mid-20s. They don't think before they act. So the more conversation we have about them, we want them to be savvy. We want them to make smart decisions, responsible decisions when we're not around. So the best thing, again, is back to the conversation. If you've decided your child can have a mobile phone, if you've decided your child can have that social network, the minimum age is 13. Like I said earlier, what was it? 84% of kids between the ages of 8 and 12 have a social account. It has to be about the conversation. It has to be about education in order to prevent things from happening. And it is difficult to monitor that. I hope that answers, Yvonne, your question. Noji, my gosh, Noji's great. She's answering. I won't read it all out now, but Noji is doing some great history, conversation history. You should be able to see Snapchat conversation history. Accessing Snapchat deleted messages. Yeah, I would say hopefully that works. My guesses are Noji. I could be wrong. But like if, for example, if you go into, how do you set up parental controls on YouTube? The first thing that comes up is how to bypass parental controls on YouTube. Because kids are always one step ahead of you. So just like you can delete your history in your browser, you can delete other things. So I would say that this is great that there are ways to access deleted messages in Snapchat. And when we as mothers feel there's something going on, we will do what we need to do to get to the bottom of it because we know our own kids. I would also just go back on what I just said earlier about the relationship, the conversation, and just constantly, without drilling it and lecturing, bringing things up. If you hear something online about a story about a celeb and a leaked video or a court case or, share, talk about it over dinner. There's different ways that you can do that. Thank you, Noji. Yvonne, I hope that's helpful between Noji and myself. This is great. I love, this is what we need to do more of across the country. Just help each other. Nicola, I must go now. Okay. But I'll research it further. I've app downloaded to my phone and was having difficulty linking two kids' devices. I'll keep at it. Thanks, President. Okay. So Nicola was the lady who said she wanted about the Amazon Fire and Family Link. So she's going to investigate it more. So I'll research that as well. And if she's sent her email address, I'll get back to her on that too. But again, just go into search what you're looking for. I had to look up for my auntie and uncle. I had to set up a few things on their devices for them last week. I have an iPhone, they have Android. So, oh God, I couldn't use it. So every time I couldn't find something, I went into my own phone and I said, how do I find wallet in an Android device? I was literally going back to my phone constantly saying, where do I find this or where do I find that? Your phone is your best friend. best friend. So I would say just use that. So Nicola's on the job. She's on the case. Okay, let me see any references. Okay, here is a parent and as a teacher, is it okay to download and display safety posters in and around my school to heighten awareness? Can you provide me with a letter of participation? Absolutely, Marie. If you want to send your email address to on the chat, just to hosts and panelists, not to everyone. You don't want to send your email address to everyone. Anyone on this call, if you'd like to be included in our next webinar and to receive an invite, be sure and let me know. You can send me your email address there and I'll include it. But send it in chat to just host and host and panelists. Don't send it to everyone. Be careful, don't send your email to everyone. But we'll only, you can remove yourself at any time and we'll let you know. But it's in the events page. Thanks, Breed. Got it. Not everyone, just us. Thanks, Isha. So we will include you in the invitation for the 11th of April as a reminder. It will be recorded and it will be hosted on our website under the events. So you'll see all the recordings in there as well. I think that's it. Oh, there's a few more. If my 15-year-old already has a TikTok account, can I go into it and see what age they've put in for himself? And if put in 15 is a bit tricky now. I think at this stage, I'd be going more towards the conversation, to be honest. That would be my gut. I don't know this young person, but my gut would be saying, if they're 15, yeah, I'm sorry. The only way you can get into their account if you have their password or if you take their device and have a look. And there is that fine line between, it's like reading someone's personal diary. There's that, when they're younger, of course, like you do what you need to do and you're raising them, you're showing them settings, you're like everything I've said on the slides. But at the age of 15, it's that trust thing and that, I'd probably rather go, it depends on them now, yourself, but I'd rather go in the conversation with them about it. The only way to change it would be to remove the app, to get the account cancelled and to create a new one. I would say, Yvonne, as well, I don't know if you've set up screen time management. It's probably a bit too late for this person, or maybe not, it depends on the person. But I'll be going over screen time management tools in April. It might be something to show them, not that you want to manage them and restrict their times, but it would be a great way. For example, when I talk to teens, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, and I ask them how many people use screen time managing tools, half of them will put up their hands. They restrict their own access to social networks because they don't want it to distract them from homework, from being up too late. They get notifications, you've got 5 minutes left, you're going to get kicked out of Instagram or whatever. So I think it would be a good way to say, hey, on your device, whether it's an Android or whether it's an iOS, that they can manage their own screen time. They can get weekly reports on what have they been doing online, how long have they been doing it for, is it a good use of my time, could I be doing better stuff, more quality stuff, learning new stuff, trying new things out, bettering myself. These reports will tell me and they'll help me and they can manage me. Siri can manage you, not a mind screen time apps. So maybe, Yvonne, I go in with that approach as to, it depends on where your concern is. If it's content and access or whether it's time or a mix. I think this is really useful for people of all ages, even the elderly, to protect them from in-app purchases, from people with disability. They can be, and autism, younger people with autism can be that more vulnerable online, and these settings can be useful. So it just depends on where your concern is and what you're worried about, and their level of maturity and the relationship you have with them. If they're open and up for it, you could treat it as an experiment too. So they're just my thoughts on it, Yvonne. I hope that's useful. I think that's it. Get here to talk with friends through a game. Okay. There's one final question, right? Nessa, we have a son who is very present online with gaming and gets hours of fun from it. Sounds familiar in my house. But our daughter is only taken to TikTok, which has very little friend engagement. What game would you suggest she could start with to get talking? Getting her talk with friends through a game. I would say, what are her friends playing? Are her friends on any games at the moment? Check in with the parents. You could just say to the parents, listen, trying to encourage her to hang out with her friends more with a game and be creative. And what are your kids gaming on? And, do you think we could set up a time for them to play together on a game online? That might be a good way to do it. Minecraft is depending on her age. Oh, sorry, you said 11. Minecraft is great. Minecraft is on the school curriculum in Sweden. Roblox is great. Don't let it scare you. Just go into the settings. This is recorded. You can watch it back. Just go into the settings and play around with it with them. I would say just a final thing. Maybe, does she like creating videos? Because you could download a video editing app and show her how to create videos where she's editing and making really funky videos and loading them up and sharing them, because TikTok is quite a powerful community. I've seen young people share a video and I thought, oh, they're going to get lambasted now for this, and the grief that the comments were so kind. And how did you do that? Can you tell me what software you used? Could you show me how to use that? That looks amazing. Oh, you're so talented. So there's a huge amount of kindness online, especially I've seen it on TikTok with specific genres of videos that are being shared. So if she likes creating videos, maybe consider video editing apps and show her different ways of creating videos. And if you're unsure of video editing apps, just top video editing apps for kids age 10 to 12. You'll get a list. I hope that helps. I hope that helps answer, Nessa. I think that's it. I would like to just say thank you to Ray and Ella and Elaine in the background as well. And thank you for joining. We had over 300 people on the webinar tonight, and there's still over 60 people on the call. That's a long time and a big commitment on an evening like this evening in Ireland, and a Monday makes it worse again. So thank you so much. This will be recorded, and when you hang up, you'll be directed to our website and the feedback form, and stay in touch. And thank you so much.